Hey everybody, it's Marilyn with MKR Creations, and I hope you're having a wonderful day. Today we're going to make a notepad, list pad, the long list pad. We're going to make a cover for that. This is one of the items I'm going to be selling at the craft fairs this fall and winter, and so I'm going to show you how I'm going to do that. And I do want to give a shout out to the Posh Paper Lady. You may want to check out her channel. She's pretty awesome. She inspired me to take my crafting to the next level and use more chipboard in my notepads and stuff to make them more durable, more usable, and more sellable. So the things you're going to need is you'll need a long list pad. Any kind is fine. This is 3.5 by 8.5. Then you need some chipboard. These are 2 sheets that are 4 by 9 and a piece that's a 1/2 by 9. I use medium weight chipboard, and I find that if I take my chipboard and make it so that it is 9 inches long, and I cut it on the 11-inch side down to 9 inches, then I cut it out 4 inch, and I have my 1/2 inch spine left. That works out well. You'll need scissors, a pokey tool, pencil for marking, score tape, and this is 1/2 inch score tape. I use art glitter glue. This piece is 3.5 inches by 12. This one is 8.5 by 8.5 for the inside cover, and this one is 12 by 12, and this is for the outer cover. And so to get started, this is going to be my front cover, so I want this over on this side, and I'll be turning it over here. Normally I mark 1 inch by 1 inch for my fold over because of wanting it to be good and solid, but if I went 1 inch by 1 inch on here, I was afraid I was going to lose too much of my flowers, and I really wanted that detail on the front of this, so I just went 3/4 of an inch. And hopefully that will help. So then you take your art glitter glue, and I mark, usually it's 1 inch this way and 1 inch going this way. It helps me keep my boards straight. I have trouble with my boards not being straight. I have kind of a crooked eye, so I use a ruler whenever possible to mark things to keep them as straight as I possibly can. Like I said, otherwise I end up with things being crooked, they don't look right, and I'm not ever happy with the results then. So this helps me keep things fairly straight. And I will line up with that side and with the bottom, and do that the best you can to keep it as straight as you can. Then we need the spine piece. And this is the one that I have the most trouble with, because cutting this 1/2 inch here, my paper cutter doesn't always want to cut too straight through it. It likes to pull because there's nothing holding very well on the other side of it. So you want to leave about 1/8 of an inch here so that when you fold your paper it does not crack. And then we'll cut down this one. You want to use enough glue to make sure that this does stay where you want it. Art glitter glue is a very good glue. It holds well, does not give way, and I love using it for my crafts, especially the ones I'm going to sell, because I know things are not going to fall apart on me. And always make sure you put your pin back in when you're done using it, because it likes to dry fast, and it will dry in that little tiny tip. You buy that separate, and that makes the glue come out less, which keeps your papers from getting warped by the glue. So then I'm just gonna, for the sake of quickness, I'm just gonna go ahead and do the 1 inch like I normally do. Okay, and then now you need your scissors, cut that piece out. You want to be careful not to bend your piece too much. You don't want to bend it away from your chipboard right now. And you can always let that sit a few minutes before you cut it. I just, for the sake of quickness for the video, wanted to have that ready to go. And I like this as straight as possible. It just helps make your final project straight, neater looking. It's not as pertinent as, you know, the other side, but it just, I don't know, I just feel better doing that. Then you want to miter your corners. You want to leave about 1/8 of an inch on each corner so that when you go to put your flaps in, you don't have cardboard showing through, because that never looks good, never looks professional. You want this to look like, even though it's going to look handmade, and it is handmade, you want it to be as professional as possible. So now we're going to take our tape here and go around the edges to the very edge of the paper. So it will hold it down nice and tight against the chipboard for you. And you do that on all 4 sides. I don't know what the weather's like where you're at, but today we're having rain, and yesterday we had rain, and it's just getting to be too much rain. The ground is soggy. Basements are starting to get water in them. We need some sunshine. So now you want to burnish down each of these before you even think about taking off the cover. Okay, so then gently fold your paper up, start giving it the idea, stretching the fibers to let it know it's going to be turning and folding. Okay, so then we're going to do each end before we do these flaps out here, and I'll show you how to do that in just a second. Just trying to stretch those fibers a little more. Don't need our paper cracking anywhere, so take off the first cover of the first tape there, come up in the middle, work your way to the side, pushing the paper in. Take your bone folder and burnish it down well, and that will help you get a nice looking edge. People a lot of times are fascinated at craft fairs that I build all my own albums, build all my own stuff, that I don't buy an album and fill it in, that I make it myself from scratch with paper and chipboard, and nothing is bought. Of course the paper is. I'm not that good, but I wish I was that artistic. That would be fun to design paper hacks. My favorite paper is vintage style papers. I just absolutely adore them. So now on here you saw I kind of pushed in on each edge. That's so when this comes over, it will make sure that that corner there, hopefully that's focusing in, that corner does not have any cardboard showing. And then you want to go back and you want to push that down so it's good and tight and flat. Don't want any bumps. Do the same thing here. You can use a bone folder if you don't want to use your fingernail. Just want to be careful that you don't rip your paper. Okay, and now this side goes up. And again, take your bone folder, push it nice and flat, and make sure everything is good and tight. And you can go on this side and just take your flat bone folder so you don't scratch your paper, and just press everything down nice and tight. Make sure your glue is all burnished in there. Then we're going to take this sheet, double check and make sure that it is going to fit. Remember, this is 8.5 by 8.5, and it looks like it's going to fit perfectly. So now we're ready to put down some more score tape. And we're going to put score tape here where the hinge is. And I like to do this because I have trouble with hinges buckling, the paper buckling in them, and I find that if I put score tape here and stick that paper to that score tape, it does not buckle. And I like to put 2 on each side here to make sure everything will be good and stuck. And then 1 on each edge, just inside the chipboard, because you don't want to accidentally have adhesive on the outside there in case your paper doesn't go out that far. That would not be cool. All right, so burnish those down so they're good and stuck to the chipboard there. And then you know they'll be ready to go with your paper. Then you want to take off the backing. What I use for my pokey tool, I use a Cricut weeder tool. I also use this when I'm using my brother's scan and cut to weed vinyl and stuff, but works really good for taking this backing off the score tape. Other people use a straight pokey tool. I could just see myself poking myself with that. So I don't think this is quite as sharp, though it is sharp. I haven't hurt myself yet. So now we have that. You're going to take your art glitter glue and you are going to go around all the edges of your paper. And this has the fine metal tip. When you buy art glitter glue, you will have to buy a fine metal tip. Some places on Amazon have the fine metal tip included, some don't. But I definitely recommend the fine metal tip. It helps keep less glue, and it makes your glue go a lot farther when you're crafting. So definitely consider that, and it does not warp your paper then. Okay, so now get that out of the way, and I'm going to take this down, center it as best you can, and take your hands and press it down. Then take your bone folder, close up our glue again, take your bone folder and press it down, burnish it down everywhere. You want to keep your bone folder flat so you don't scratch your paper. All right, and then we'll set that aside to dry for a minute. Then we're going to take our 3.5 by 12-inch paper and our notepad. These are magnetic notepads. I suppose you could leave the magnet on if you want. I choose to take it off. I don't need that extra bulk in there. So I just peel them off. They usually peel off pretty easy. You want to be careful not to take all your cardboard off though, because you need that to hook it into your book here. Oh, this one is really stuck. All right. And you can save that for other craft things. I find that these are really not that strong a magnet. They're supposedly will hold these notepads on your refrigerator, but they're just not that strong. When I do refrigerator magnets and stuff, I want something stronger than that. So what you're going to do now is you're going to line this up on here, make sure it's the right width. Then I'm going to take some of the glue or score tape here, and you want to make sure it's not covering the front of the pad, just the back. Then I'm going to cut that off. Okay. And if you have 1/4 inch score tape, you can use that instead. We're going to burnish it down. A little over the edge here. I need to cut that better. There. All right. Then take your pokey tool and take the cover off the tape. Making sure that your tape stays down. Then I stand this up so that and make sure it's all nice and even. And then carefully fold this over and back. And then I take my bone folder and just kind of try to straighten things and push down on here to try and get it to square up for you. So it has a nice square edge. Takes a little time, but it can be done. Then I'm going to take some more glitter glue and put it back here to glue down the rest of my paper. And then burnish that glue down. Let that dry a minute. We'll set that aside while we work with our book again. So here's our book. Everything should be starting to dry. You want to slowly start bending where the creases are going to be. And use your bone folder gently in there to crease it down in so that it doesn't buckle on you. If you do find that the edges kind of buckle, your glue might not be dry enough yet, and you just need to poke a little glue down in there and burnish it with your bone folder again, and then let it dry. Leave it flat to dry. Okay, so that's ready to go. So we're going to put glue on the back of this. And I'm going to use a little more glue. I'm going to take the end off because I want a little more glue holding this down. See how that's just so much more glue than what we were getting before? That's probably way more glue than we need, but I want these to be good and sturdy. So kind of put that in there, get it centered as best you can, and press it down. Bring the top over, and you're going to find that you do have to put a weight on the top for a while just to keep that paper realizing that it has to stay bent and folded. It doesn't take long. Day or so under some books will keep it in place. So that is our project for today. If you like this video, I hope you give it a thumbs up. Please subscribe to that video, to my channel before you leave, and have a happy day and happy crafting, everyone. See you next time. These are a couple other long notepads I made today in my craft room. This first one, it has the pink cover, and then this is the notepad. And this one has a rose, a dragonfly, and this is the notepad that goes with that one. Have a wonderful crafting day.